Welcome to the League of Nerds comic book segment number 61. I'm John Cooney, here to talk to you about comics released the 3rd of April, 2013, beginning as usual with my first 5, meaning these are the first 5 books I intend to read this week, and I'll give you a little more depth on them. Starting with at number 1, Age of Ultron number 4. The impossible has happened. The Earth has been taken by Ultron. What few superhero survivors there are try desperately to stay alive. And it's Luke Cage who discovers the secret behind Ultron's victory over all of mankind. A secret that'll have fans of Marvel Comics arguing for years to come. Series editor and Marvel Senior VP and exec editor Tom Brevoort discussed Ultron recently. Quote, I think you want every character in a story to be more nuanced and multidimensional than a mustache-twirling bad guy. Everybody is a hero of their own story, and it's when you can shift that perspective momentarily so that you can see things from the point of view of the antagonist that it starts to make things interesting. And Ultron in the past has had more complex shadings to what drove him. He was, for the longest time, a very Oedipal villain, wanting to kill his father and marry his mother. We're not going down that same road again here, but it does illustrate the fact that there's more substance and more angles to Ultron as a character than just a killer robot. Close quote. He went on to explain the approach they took to this story. Quote, we just did Age of Ultron 1 and 2 in one of our reading circles this past week, in which our junior editorial staff and I get together to talk about and dissect current releases. And it was interesting to see how different people came to the work and what they made about it, what they liked and didn't like about the experience and engaging with the story where we started, and what baggage they may have walked in the door with in terms of their own expectations. It was a much wider reaction than I would have thought beforehand. I suspect a lot of that has to do with the specific storytelling choice we made early on, to begin with Ultron already having attacked and won. That seems to have been a disorienting situation for a certain portion of the readers, one that's perhaps kept them from feeling like they have their bearings in some way. I suspect that some of the concerns about the story moving too slowly are being driven by a feeling that there's some crucial information that we skip by that the readers feel like they need or want to know, or that they missed. But really, we're trying to approach this kind of large event storyline in a different way, to give people a different experience than the other ones that Brian has written in the past. So on that level, I'm not really that surprised that opinions are mixed on the pacing. What I can tell you is that Age of Ultron throughout is paced with a deliberate meter, and that the velocity of the story will change as events begin to unfold. As Brian indicated a few times, the story takes a sharp left turn at a certain point and goes in a direction that you won't necessarily expect. And I think that'll probably cause some readers to feel off balance as well when we get there. Close quote. At number 2, we've got All New X-Men number 10. The uncanny X-Men come to the Jean Grey School to recruit. Who will join Cyclops and his revolutionary crew? The answer will shock you. Mystique and Sabretooth continue to hatch their master plan, and it doesn't bode well for the All New X-Men. Series writer Brian Michael Bendis recently explained his thoughts about the Jean Grey School. Quote, we had an X-Men-only retreat, and Jason Aaron and I and Brian Wood were happily in agreement that the Jean Grey School is sort of a prep school preparing you for all things mutant. I talk about it a little in an upcoming issue of All New X-Men, where Beast tells young Angel, listen, you're in this school. It's like an oasis. Like everything's fine here. You step outside here and you have to be prepared for the racism, the misunderstanding, the fear, the loathing, and the madness that surrounds us. Here we are in a gated community, and it's kind of utopia of no one bothering you. Now, in my personal life, I've witnessed this a couple of times. My mom sent me to Hebrew school when I was a kid, and I'd never heard an anti-Semitic thing in my life. And then I got out of the school and went to another school, and all I heard was anti-Semitic stuff. So I was like, whoa, okay, that wasn't the real world. And I've talked about this a little bit online. But I have a multiracial family, and here in Portland, no one ever bats an eye at us. Like, no one even does the thing, which I'm grateful for, because they shouldn't. But if we go visit relatives in Florida or anywhere else, they just stare at us. I'm like, what are they staring at? Oh yeah, that's right, we're the Munsters. So I think about it a lot when I think about what goes on inside the school versus what goes on outside the school. Close quote. As far as the name of the school, Bendis says, quote, that was done by Jason before my time. I talked to them about it too, like what philosophy does the school reflect? And it's interesting, it kind of reflects the generation passing. Xavier had a dream, that dream's been co-opted or corrupted by any number of mutants on any side of the field. What Jean Grey School is, number 1, is a reminder that horrible tragedy and sacrifice can come to people who live this life. But it also kind of represents the next generation of philosophy. It's not Xavier's philosophy, it's Xavier's students' philosophy, or what they do with that philosophy. It also represents a haunting image for young Jean Grey, who now attends the school on some level. Even though she's not a student at the school, they are living there right now. If I was living at the Brian Bendis Memorial anything, I'd be a little weirded out. Close quote. At number 3, we've got Superior Spider-Man number 7, Troubled Mind Part 1, An Avenger No More. With the public at large realizing this is no longer a friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, and in light of his actions in recent events, will the Avengers kick Spidey off the team? Plus the return of Cardiac, and a new development for a Spider-Man who hasn't been seen for some time, and by time we mean centuries. The lead up to the Spider event of the summer starts here. Talking Comics interviewed Dan Slott in the London Comics Supercon about the book.
What's really lovely is that all these people a lot of people who are really angry and really upset, when they send in a lot of fan mail now and messages and things, they go, I was really upset, now I'm on board. You know, like, yeah, I was so mad, but no, I like where it's going now.
And it was the end of Superior Spider-Man #1, literally right at the end of that. You took people off and you brought people back in, and it wasn't even, they didn't even know, you know, it was like being smacked twice in the face, knockout.
So many people are like, why? Why did it happen now? Why not wait 12 issues? Why not slowly seed it? And it's that aggravation that a new group of readers have, which is why you do it, because you didn't see it coming. You didn't think we were going to do it. It's the elephant in the room. The minute you do this, every jaded comic book fan, every person who's read comics for 30, 40, 50 years goes, oh, of course they're bringing Peter back. So boom, let's just turn over that card right now. Here you go. Here's Peter Parker trying to get his way back.
Let's not pretend that we're going to pull it out for 25 issues and then bring him back. You know.
No, I didn't say that. I just said, let's just turn over that card now. You know,
don't say I don't try, guys. Don't say I don't try.
You're going to have to wait and see.
Okay.
But I think we've done a good job of going against people's expectations. Yeah. And it's really weird when I see people go online and they guess where it's going. And then they start judging the book off of their guesses as if they're right. You're not right. You don't know what we're doing. We got some surprises. We got more tricks up our sleeves.
One line that describes, or a few words that describe the next 5 issues of Superior Spider-Man.
The next 5 issues of Superior Spider-Man.
One sentence. Whatever you can do, just...
You only think you know.
I like it. I like it. I like it. Very good. Thank you so much, Dan. We hope.
At number 4, we've got Harbinger Wars #1. Harbinger Wars, Valiant's first family crossover event, begins here. A decades-old secret is about to put Bloodshot and Harbinger in an inescapable collision course, and soon the most powerful forces in the Valiant universe will be drawn into a battle without sides, without rules, and without mercy. 24 undisciplined, untested, and untrained superhuman children have just escaped from a top-secret research facility and into the world. When Bloodshot, Toyo Harada, and Peter Stanchak join the chase, will the Valiant universe be ready for its first all-out superhuman showdown? Start reading here for a high-stakes tale that will put Valiant's greatest heroes to the ultimate test. Valiant assistant editor Josh Johns explained the story, quote, Harada has a worldview. He wants to make the world a better place, no matter what the cost. Harbingers like Peter just aren't born, they're activated. So we're not talking about millions of Harbingers out there. Harada has been trying to make a plan against Project Rising Spirit for years. We found out this isn't the first time they've crossed paths. When all these kids get released into the wild, so to speak, it's obviously in his interest to get the Harbinger army on his side and trained under his supervision. Bloodshot, on the other hand, went into this facility thinking he was going to find his name. What he found was this incredible responsibility. These kids, whom everyone is trying to claw at for their own purposes, some good, some bad, he's protecting them. He's the one who hunted most of them and captured most of them. He's trying to get redemption for the sins of his past, and he's doing that by caring for these children. Then we have Peter and the Renegades, and Peter just escaped from the clutches of Harada, and he knows that Harada's way of making the world better is not the same thing he wants to do. He wants to stop Harada from achieving his ends. So we have all of these people, and Project Rising Spirit has attacked all of these groups at different times. So you have these 4 different factions vying for these children converging in one place. What happens from there is great fun, but everyone has their reasons for wanting all these insanely powerful children, and we'll see how it all plays out in Las Vegas. Close quote. And at number 5, we've got Thanos Rising #1. What comes after Marvel now? Whatever it is, starts here. The vile-faced left movie audiences in shock after last summer's Marvel Studios' The Avengers movie, but who is this eerily disturbing villain? Thanos rises as the unrivaled rogue of wretchedness in this gripping tale of tragedy, deceit, and destiny. Where did this demigod of death and destruction come from, and, more importantly, what does he want? The answers come from the incredible creative team of Jason Aaron and Simone Bianchi, as they take you on a journey that will not only change the course of one boy's life, but will soon change the very nature of the Marvel Universe. Series writer Jason Aaron told MTV Geek about the book.
I'm doing a Thanos miniseries, which is basically the origin of Thanos. If you're somebody who watched the Avengers movie and you left that wondering who's that purple guy with the weird chin from the end of it, you pick up this book, this tells you what you need to know. This is Thanos year one. This is Thanos from birth up into the present day. This is a story of where did he come from, how did he become the guy he is, what kind of guy is he. The Thanos that we know today in the Marvel Universe is a cosmic conqueror. He's a guy who's been going around the Marvel U for years, laying waste to planets, gathering objects of power, and oftentimes he's had death by his side, who's this skeletal woman in a hood who's literally the personification of death, and he's in love with her. Though I think that relationship develops in a very different way than what we've seen before. Thanos was born and was different. He looked different, and something about this kid, was off. That's kind of where we start with the opening issue of this story. We see the birth of Thanos, and things start to go wrong from the second he's born. Thanos is going to be drawn by Simone Bianchi, who I've never worked with before. So he's, designing the look of young Thanos, and maybe even giving us a new look for present-day Thanos. This is not a superhero story. There are no superheroes in this. This is a dark, bleak origin story of a really bad guy. I always say Thanos. I think most of us say Thanos. But Joe Quesada scolds us and tells us it's Thanos, because I guess that's the original Greek pronunciation. My argument is that this guy's from Saturn. What does he know about Greek? For old comic readers who've read the Infinity Gauntlet stories, as well as people who are fresh who have no idea who this guy is, this is a story you can pick up and enjoy.
Rounding out the top 10 at number 6, we've got Detective Comics number 19. In a special oversized celebratory issue, Batman is challenged by the mystery of the 900. At number 7, we've got Hypernaturals number 10. With nowhere left to turn for help, the Hypernaturals must find a way to work with their most dangerous enemy as the biggest threat that has ever faced the Continuum finally arrives. At number 8, we've got Action Comics number 19. Welcome to the new creative team of writer Andy Diggle and artist Tony S. Daniel. Lex Luthor is in jail, and his battlesuit is back in action. But if he's not wearing it, who is? At number 9, we've got Snapshot number 3 of 4, also by Andy Diggle with artist Jock. Hunted by a ruthless killer who has framed them for murder, Jake and Callie try to infiltrate the mysterious gated community at the heart of the deadly conspiracy. But nothing can prepare them for what they find there. Continuing the new thriller from the creators of The Losers and Green Arrow Year 1. And at number 10, we've got Bedlam number 6 by Nick Spencer with the solicit simply Confession. For the best of the rest this week from DC, we've got Animal Man number 19. As Animal Man's popularity grows, the paparazzi follow him everywhere. But is there one place he wishes they just wouldn't go? Next, we've got Earth 2 number 11. As Dr. Fate emerges as the latest hero on Earth 2, what other heroes make a most unexpected appearance? We've got Phantom Stranger number 7. Do you dare ask who slayed the stranger? And we've got World's Finest number 11. Mr. Terrific and Power Girl reunited? But if Michael Holt is still on Earth 2, who's kissing Karen Starr? From Marvel this week, we've got Indestructible Hulk number 6. Banner takes his lab team to Jotunheim. Hulk vs. Frost Giants, guest starring Thor. We've got Iron Man Season 1 hardcover premiere edition, an all-new original graphic novel modernizing the formative first days of the superhero icon that defined pop culture. Billionaire weapons manufacturer Tony Stark lived a life of wealth and privilege. That all changed when an on-site visit to a war-torn nation went horribly wrong, leaving Tony gravely injured in the hands of dangerous extremists, one a former friend. When asked to build a weapon, Tony instead constructed a mechanized suit of armor and escaped, but the horrors he left behind are coming for retribution, and the only way to stop them is for the carefree playboy to become the Iron Man. And we've got Ultimate Comics XMen number 25, Natural Resources continues by Brian Wood. Utopia thrives, but at what cost? Mach 2's Jungle Insurgency, Eyes in the Sky, Who's Watching the Mutants? From Image Comics, we've got Mind the Gap number 9, Wish You Were Here Part 4, A Loss of Life, A Loss of Innocence, A Terrifying Return. Actions are taken and consequences are so far-reaching in this silent issue that will have you holding your breath and leave you speechless. Out in trades this week, we've got Batman Detective Comics Volume 1 Faces of Death trade paperback. Bruce Wayne returns as Batman and sets his sights on the Penguin, who in turn has his sights on Batman. Plus, time is running out as Batman works to uncover the secret of the Dread Dollmaker. Collects Detective Comics number 1 through 7. And we've got Punk Rock Jesus trade paperback. A reality TV show starring a clone of Jesus Christ causes chaos across the U.S. of the near future in Punk Rock Jesus, a new title collecting the 6-issue miniseries with 10 new story pages. Religious zealots either love or hate the show, angry politicians worry about its influence on the nation, and members of the scientific community fear the implications of cloning a human being at all, let alone the Son of God. And what effect will all this have on Gwen, the young woman who is selected through an American Idol-style process to be the mother of the new Messiah? All this leads to the hiring of Thomas McHale, the clone's bodyguard and former IRA operative with a turbulent past who must protect the new Messiah, a baby who captivates the world but grows up to become an angry teenager. Okay, so that's just a few of my favorite books out this week. There's still plenty of others available, and I broke out all the Marvel titles this week in their own video, as well as a separate video for all of DC, and even a video with all the top independent publishers, and you can find them all on my YouTube channel at he'sgotissues.com as well. And we'll also have the links up on the leagueofnerds.com, our Facebook page, so be sure to like us there too. And of course, you can follow everything I'm reading on Facebook, Pinterest, or Twitter. You can find links to everything at he'sgotissues.com. And a reminder that both He's Got Issues and the League of Nerds are proud members of the Comics Podcast Network. So until next week, I'm John Cooney, and I've got issues.